Hello and welcome to Brainwaves episode 168, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. My name is Jamie Adams.
And I'm Oliver Kinner.
And I'm Ian McAllister, and these are the headlines for the week of Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025. Cool Mini or Not escapes hell, Ludonauts start to wind up, and Tabletop Scotland grows. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Over the last few episodes, we've reported on the ongoing financial troubles facing board game company Cool Mini or Not, more commonly known as Cmon. Cmon blazed the trail for Kickstarter, running multi-million-dollar campaigns laden with miniatures that folk loved. When the pandemic hit and companies were saddled with massive hikes in shipping costs, it hit many companies that were focused on Kickstarter, and Cmon was no exception. Despite still turning a profit for most of the intervening years, the company struggled to deliver Kickstarters, with 10 of its projects still awaiting delivery to backers. They recently announced their losses of the first half of 2025 will be close to $8 million, more than 3 times its overall profit for the last 10 years. Board Game Wire, who've been on top of reporting Cmon's decline, have recently posted the company has offloaded 2 projects it bought from Mythic Games to Don't Panic Games. These 2 projects have been in what can only be described as development hell since funding on Kickstarter in 2020 for Hell and 2022 for Anastyr. When Cmon took the projects on, they said they needed extensive development work to bring them to backers. Now it seems those folks are going to have to wait even longer for those games. Don't Panic was founded in 2013, and the main focus of their business is French translations for games like Final Girl and Champions of Midgard. When contacted by Board Game Wire, Don't Panic Games said,
We always had a special fondness for these 2 exceptional titles, and we were already collaborating with some of the original creators, hence the fact that we have decided to take over these highly anticipated games and make sure they come to existence.
Don't Panic Games have had their own issues, coming under fire from hegemonic project games over the translation of their game, Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. They made some mistakes in the translation that Hegemonic objected to, and the resolution became a public spat. Now, this story of Cmon and these games, this is just one big hot potato that just keeps getting passed around. And part of me really, most of me really hopes the backers actually get their game, hopefully in a good state.
I can't see it happening, but maybe Don't Panic Games will come through. I
didn't say I think it would. I said I hoped.
Yeah. You can hope on one hand and...
Now, if you're listening to this and you were at the Tabletop Scotland pub quiz when we asked a question, which was how many games does Cmon still have to deliver to backers, and you answered 10, you will be right. So we will retroactively change the point scoring, and we'll deal with that later. Contact your local Ian McAllister representative. He'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Cmon
apply that retrospectively to the scores next year.
Yeah, Cmon continuing to slide. Is it too declamatory to say I don't think they'll be here by the end of the year?
I think that's extremely likely. I think it's, if you are waiting for a game from Cmon, don't, would be my advice. Like just move on from that. Yeah. Move on from that wait, because it's not going to happen.
Sorry, I just love that. If you're waiting, don't.
Yeah, you just don't. Yeah, like move on. Don't worry about it. Like that money is gone. That is a sunk cost. Do not spend your time, effort, and stress on whether you're going to get that game, because you're not. And there's just no way that they are coming out of this tailspin.
I'm sure there have been good games from Cmon.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people have enjoyed some of their games. Don't get me wrong. I haven't played very many of them at all. I played Rising Sun, which was one of their projects.
Same here.
I've never played Blood Rage. But Ian Chandler picked up Ankh at Tabletop Scotland.
He did, to bring him by.
So maybe get a chance to play that at some point. I'm no judgment on people who have enjoyed their games at all. But if you are waiting for their Kickstarters and posting angrily on their message boards or whatever about the fact that you don't have your Kickstarter, it's time to move on. If Cmon come out at the end of the year, I'll be very, very surprised.
Sorry, I realize that Ian and I have been dominating the conversation. Oliver, is there anything you would like to add? I'm sorry. I have been away for a while. I've got things I want to say.
That's fine. No, I'm just echoing everything you said. Nothing against the company or anything, but as we always say, if you back something on crowdfunding, you're not guaranteed to get it at the end of it. It's the annual reminder, or at this stage, probably weekly reminder.
Yeah, fortnightly reminder.
Yeah.
As best we can put out the podcast.
Yeah.
Every couple of weeks.
But Oliver, you've got a story about a company that's decided to make less games.
Well, we have another French publisher here.
Another company that's decided to make less games. I'm sorry, let's just get that clear.
Don't think
They've
it's
decided to.
I don't think
forced to. They've decided to.
They've decided.
I was going to say, yeah, Cmon didn't have a choice. Anyway, French publisher Lunaud is well known for such titles as the Spiel des Jahres winning Colt Express and the Kennerspiel winning game Living Forest, amongst, of course, many others. It was founded in 2009 by Anne-Cécile and Cédric Lefebvre. Earlier this year, the publisher sold those titles along with the game Lewis and Clark to Tycoon Games, formerly Tabletop Tycoon. Now, this seems to have been the beginning of the end for Ludonaut. On the 8th of September, Board Game Wire reported that the publisher was calling time on making new releases. The company isn't shuttering as such at this point, as it still has 2 releases to put out this year, Arigato and Limit. The team said this in a statement.
In recent years, we have seen our profession slide from a small circle of enthusiasts to a professional economic sector where passion has given way to what we call economic reality. The decisions made in the name of this economic realism are increasingly difficult to accept. What we need to learn to progress no longer really stems from a passion for gaming, but rather from fields like marketing, which do not appeal to us at all. It must also be said that the emotional and human commitment required to publish a game leads to a deep feeling of disappointment when success is not forthcoming. The frantic pace of releases to keep the company afloat forces us to bounce back very quickly, to move on too quickly, which can be difficult to live with. Furthermore, we have observed there are too many games being produced today, and behind this logic of overproduction lies a broader consumer society. We no longer find our way. We are therefore taking responsibility by deciding to no longer produce more and, faced with the dilemma of fighting with the system or getting out of it, the response Cédric and Anne-Cécile want to provide is to take a step back. Cédric is also convinced that an economic contraction, sudden or gradual, is inevitable. From a personal perspective, he therefore prefers to begin to withdraw gently.
Last episode, we reported on the shuttering of another French publisher, Funforge, and the industry is just waiting for Mythic Games to announce the same after months of silence from the Kickstarter-focused publisher. Well, I think there is a series of companies closing, it seems to be. We have yet another, when we keep reporting on it.
They're not quite closing yet.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe they survive?
This sounds to me like a almost sensible approach rather than just shutting in the middle of a project. They're just releasing last few games, and then we'll see what happens, whether they close completely or whether they just keep selling the games that they have in their catalog or what.
It's certainly the sort of route like a publisher like Naylor Games take. They produce very few games, but they focus on them and really push them, and that seems to do them quite well. So like, maybe that's a route for some publishers, is to have a smaller catalog that they just push much harder.
Route for some publishers, sorry.
Indeed.
Yeah. I'll be honest, as much as I'm loving seeing all these games coming out throughout the year, I very much agree with a lot of this statement. This logic of overproduction, the broader consumer society, it's a bad situation, folks. Of course, you come to listen to this podcast to not hear about politics, especially from me.
Games and politics.
What?
Making your board game has never been easier. Getting it sold has never been harder.
Yeah.
That's the dilemma facing publishers. Is like, making a game relatively simple now. But like getting it actually distributed worldwide and actually getting it marketed and actually getting people to buy it, that's a whole different ball game.
But like you said, Ian, I think if the more we have publishers that focus on just a few games a year and really good games that not just churned out like I think we see some publishers just churning out. Well, not publishers necessarily, but on Kickstarter, look, there's always another game that's coming out that is amazing. Obviously isn't amazing. Who knows? But if Lunaud maybe decide, if they decide, Lunaud decide that they maybe do that. That might be a good thing. Or even if they don't, even if they just focus on the existing catalog. Colt Express had a few expansions and, versions released and one Spiel des Jahres, Living Forest, another example. So if they sort of can focus on those games, maybe We'll see what happens.
They've sold those now to Tycoon Games or Tabletop Tycoon.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that the publisher is known for good games, so if they can keep that going,
they've had some hits for sure.
Yeah.
So. I think I definitely still have Colt Express still on my shelf. I think it's a really enjoyable programming game with the 3D.
It's not like a Colt Express Duel or something recently as well, like a new one?
There was a Colt Express
Junior, wasn't there, or something?
There was a Junior. I think there was a Speed Colt Express. It was like a card game based one.
Oh, that's one thing.
They also released a 10th anniversary one semi recently, which I think was a couple of expansions. I've only got the Stagecoach and the Time Travel Car expansions. Yeah, I have. I love the game. I haven't played it in a while, but I really enjoy it because it always goes wrong.
But anyway, looking at companies that are shutting or maybe reducing, we look at a company that's growing in.
Yeah, indeed. Myself and Jamie were attending Tabletop Scotland recently. It was on the 5th to 7th of September, just outside of Edinburgh, at the Royal Highland Centre, just near the airport. We were given, just to be fully sort of upfront about our relationship with the con, we were given access to the convention for free in return for coverage of the event and running the pub quiz that we have done for the last 3 years.
We are corporate shills.
Indeed. The convention has just released its attendance numbers for 2025 and they have grown once more. Unique visitors were up to 9% to 4,259 from 3,920 in 2024. The turnstile figure counts each day you turn up, so one person might be counted 3 times. That figure was up 6% to 6,834 from 6,468 the previous year. The difference in percentage increases can be accounted for by assuming that although there were more unique visitors, a lot of them only attended for 1 or 2 of the days of the con rather than all 3. The con had 133 exhibitors and a variety of events from miniature and card game tournaments to RPGs and board games. It also partnered with Waverley Care as its charity. Waverley Care is an HIV and hepatitis C based charity providing information to sufferers and funding research that aims to bring an end to these diseases, having such a devastating impact upon people's lives. The charity was fundraising over the course of the convention, and money from both a charity raffle and the bring and buy went towards the final total. That came to £10,757. David Wright and Simon Harper told me that total would probably go over £11,000 after the final amounts were added up alongside some donations from the convention team itself. This was during an interview I conducted with both of them, looking back at the convention, which we'll listen to now. I'm delighted to be joined by 2 of the organisers of Tabletop Scotland, David Wright and Simon Harper. How are you doing, gents?
All good.
Very good. We've had a week away from everyone else, so we're finally talking to each other again.
Are you fully recovered? Or just partially recovered?
That's a little bit of a joke, but yeah, pretty much. I think everyone's, as far as I'm aware, everyone's pretty good now. Back in.
Did John break a toe after all, Simon, or did he not? I can't remember.
But I think he reckons he did. I think he reckons he did, but then that's just part of his traditions now.
Yeah, John Harper normally breaks a toe, and we were trying to work out on the Monday if he had or not, and we think he maybe has. So there you go. There's a tradition that we've continued.
Is it like a good luck charm now? Because that seems...
It's good. Well, it's fine for us. We don't mind it. I'm not sure if John's happy about it.
Okay.
But the first year, I think you were with us the first year. Setting up all those tables wasn't fun.
Yeah, that's true.
And he dropped the table on his toe, so I think just having fun memories, maybe a flashback to those days.
Yeah,
amazing.
He wasn't lifting furniture this year, though, so he's no excuse.
He is clumsy. I've seen him play football, so.
I mean, he wasn't playing football in the convention centre, was he? Because that would be strange.
That would have been strange. And he probably would have hurt himself even more if he had been.
No, I do not believe there were any footballs available for him to do that.
Fair enough. Anyway, let's get to this. Anyway, how did you both feel the con went? Anyway,
no, I started to correct myself after the weekend because I think I was saying far too often this is easy. I think what I actually was meaning is that this is so much easier than last year. But no. Overall, I think it went well. I think the main thing I took away from before we even opened the doors was we were much more relaxed as a team because our setup had gone so much better.
Oh, setup was
It was night and day, wasn't it, Si? It was night and day.
It was a joy. The lesson is, employ young men to do the heavy lifting. Young ladies nowadays as well, actually, because they had a mixed team. But yeah, employ young people to do heavy lifting.
Yeah, and more accurately, make sure that they know what they're doing before they turn up, which was the difference between last year and this year.
I remember helping out last year. Yeah,
yeah, I remember you helping out last year. But no, Ross and his crew did us proud, I think, if I'm honest.
Yeah, awesome.
And that includes in the breakdown as well. So that was really good. And I think that just kind of set the tone a little bit, because the number of issues that we had in the previous year, we had plans for, basically, right? So, I mean, technologically, we had a couple of little issues, but nowhere near as many as we had last year. And it was even just little things like, I don't know, everything just seemed to click. And then when it came to opening the doors on the Friday, the venue staff were more stressed than we were, which was weird, but kind of comforting kind of roundabout kind of way. I mean, overall, I think, it wasn't easy because we were all still pretty bloody knackered by the end of it. But it was significantly easier than the year before.
I think so. I think knowing now we knew what the venue was as a space, because previously you've seen the venue empty and you have an idea, and no matter what you visualize, it's never what happens.
No,
sure. Because you took a big step up last year. Obviously, you moved from Perth to a much bigger venue. How was that change for the team in the first year you moved to the Highland Centre?
I mean, I think the main difference is the physicality of it. I mean, it's 3 times the size, but it's not just the 3 times the size part. It's where the north gate is to the front door, and then to the other side of the hall. We used to be able to get together very easily in Perth and deal with a problem between us. So that was physically more demanding on us as a team than the year before. I think because we had our orange shirt this year, that helped us, because they would be the people who were, for a better phrase, fitter than us, apart from maybe John Laurie. So they would be the ones that would be that go-between between us and also supporting each other. So yeah, the physicality of it. I mean, the scale, don't get me wrong, the scale is, as I say, it's more than 3 times the space. Yeah. And that brings with it its own challenges. But as I said, until you put something in a building, you have no idea how it's going to work. And that was very much the learning from last year that we hopefully, and judging by some of the feedback we've had already, has worked for this year.
That's great. So you've had a sort of 9% increase in attendees, uniques, 6% in turnstile. Are you sort of happy with that increase over last year, or would you have liked more? How's the team feeling about it?
I think we're happy with it. I think I'm glad it's not in our 75%, if I'm honest, because that was what we had the year before, right? Because the con almost doubled in size by attendance the year before, and that would have been, frankly, terrifying if that had happened this year. But because of the way that we were tracking the numbers in general for the pre-sales, we kind of knew it was going to be up, but not like kind of 20% up, which was good. And some of that is motivated by, the contract we've currently got is for that hall, and we've got 1 more year of that hall. So in a way, 9% growth, which is good, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it isn't, means that we shouldn't need more space next year if we get roughly the same growth next year.
Okay, and are you starting to look ahead to next year already, or even the years ahead?
Yeah, we have. Yes. Dave and I.
Terrifying to think about already, but
Yeah, Dave and I have already been discussing what our tech buys are going to be this year already. January sales are a good time for us to buy stuff we've learned.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because
some of the technology that we use, obviously we borrow quite a lot of technology from Expo, which is obviously much appreciated. But it's the sort of thing that it's like, well, actually, could we not just buy our own and then we don't need to worry about it? And we did some of that this year, actually. But there's more that we can do in that space just to be a little bit more self-sufficient.
Yeah. So each year you sort of gain a new sort of bunch of technology, new ideas, that kind of thing, and we'll sort of integrate that rather than having to borrow from other conventions.
Yeah, and I mean, it means when the time comes for us to test it, we don't have to test it at the con.
No,
we can
that's
test
true.
it the week before, and we should know what's going to happen. We did come up with one tech issue. It's an amazing tech issue, and luckily so we got some laptops this year.
Yeah,
because none of us know how Linux works, and the laptops are Windows. So we got Windows laptops. John, Laurie, and I spent an afternoon, quite a while, testing all the laptops worked with the scanners and the label printers, and everything worked. Great. Then John Laurie plugs it in, bring them by on the Thursday. Was it Thursday? Thursday, wasn't it?
Thursday night, yeah.
Thursday night, I can't get the printers to work for the bring them by. No. But luckily, because we know Windows, Dave knew where to look. If it had been a Linux,
I mean, but it was the weirdest thing, though, wasn't it? Because I own one of these label printers because I bought one when we first started using them, just to work out how they worked. And all the laptops worked fine with my label printer, but not with any of the other label printers.
Same models. Same models.
Exactly, they're identical. They're absolutely identical. And it just turned out that Windows had decided to install the driver twice. That's all that it had done.
Of course it has. Thanks, Windows.
But at least, it's predictable in that sense because it's Windows. And as soon as you deleted the other driver, boom, they all worked.
But we would have been in a sticky situation trying to figure out on Linux. We would have to. We know guys who know Linux and who would be prepared to help us. But that wouldn't have been something we could do on a Thursday.
No, that would be like a Friday morning if we'd been lucky. Which would have added to that stress level, But going back to your kind of broader question, Ian, I think next year we have been. Simon and I have been talking about the floor plan for next year and how we would want to change it. We obviously will take the feedback on board that we get from exhibitors, but there are things that we want to do differently next year about the floor plan, largely to try and simplify the process and how the space is allocated, because that jigsaw puzzle is quite time consuming, to say the least.
Yeah.
But the other kind of thing is on the Thursday, the kind of sales manager for the venue came and spoke to me about a renewal of the contract or an extension of the contract because we've got 1 year left. So it's like, okay, when do you want to talk about that? So they want to start talking about that in October. Right. And they want to try and have a conclusion to that this side of Christmas, which is great, right? But at the same time, maybe give us a little bit longer. Yeah.
So they're saying we want you to commit to another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, but basically so we've got some guarantee of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, there is a, don't get me wrong, there's a desire to extend. It's just going to give us a little bit more time to think about it would be one part of that. But the other part is that 5 years is, Simon and I are already old men. We'll be even older men. For what better way of putting it. But, but each the contract we've already got and any new contract we have will have a break clause anyway, because I'm not that stupid. It's making sure that we have that flexibility should we choose to do something else, whether that's stop or, do something entirely different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the contract discussions will probably start in October, which will be exciting.
Yeah. And is there thoughts to expand? Can you expand in the current venue?
We can. So there's the building that we have, the Highland Hall. There's a cowshed, or the central hall as they call it, at the bottom of it, which is about the size of one of the halls in Perth. Right. And then there's another hall, as an L shape off that, called the Lowland Hall, which is about 20% bigger than Perth. So we could expand that way. They also have two kind of business conferencey buildings, one that's currently built and one that's under construction on the campus. And they could also be part of that equation. But I think the main thinking is how big do we want this to be in many respects, because we are, after all volunteers.
Yeah. And you've got quite a focus on keeping that sort of like community feel. Something I noticed this year, attending, is you still got that sort of that focus on sort of community and people coming together and like sort of bringing up those smaller publishers and just like smaller groups joining in, and it's got a very sort of like family feel, for want of a better word.
It has, and some of the commentary on some of the Facebook posts. I can't remember who it was. Somebody said that you've essentially. I think it was actually my mate Mark. You've almost doubled the attendance, but it actually doesn't feel any bigger because we're in such a bigger space. And that's the kind of vibe and feeling of the con for us in many respects. I don't know, Si, if you've got anything particular to add to that.
Well, I think because they do have the extra buildings, but then it becomes a kind of multi-site event, even though it's on the same location, and it's like you've been to Expo. It's almost like sometimes there's two different events happening.
For sure, yeah.
You've got whatever happens.
You lose a bit of that community. You lose a bit of that sort of combined space kind of feel where lots of stuff's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we did, we've spoken about it. Is what if we were to move into one of these new buildings? What would happen in the new building, and how, or would we move one aspect of it to the new building? For example, RPGs and D&D, and does that mean then we've got a D&D convention and a board game convention that just happen separately?
Yeah, and what does that mean for the RPG exhibitors that we have, right? So do they see less foot traffic as a result? These are the sorts of thinking that goes into anything like this. So it is something that we're very conscious of that as part of any future plans we have. So the way I can put it to the venue when they brought this up was, I want a buffet of options. I don't want to be tied. I don't want to be tied to say we're going to have this level of expansion. I want to understand our options each year on year type thing. So that way we can make a conscious choice.
Yeah. And would you as you sort of look to the future, would you look to integrate more events, that kind of thing? I know a lot of cons are looking to to bring more events in, seminars, live action role playing, things like that, bigger events. I know Gen Con, other big cons have gone that way. Is that an area you'd look to expand to, have more events going on, or are you sort of happy with the schedule you have?
I mean, I think I think part of it comes down to the space, right? And what you can suitably put in the space. Seminars really only work in a room, if you think of it that way. They wouldn't really work in a hall.
Sure.
Unless that's all that was in the hall, right? So there is this balance, as there has been even when we were back in Perth, on, right, what do we prioritize? Do we add more RPG space? Or do we kind of make sure that we've got space for other things? And there is a trade-off there. This year, on the Sunday morning, the room that's normally used for seminars, we gave that over to the Pathfinder Society to run an event that only Gen Con had ran it this year, other than us. And it was kind of we need 5 more tables for RPGs. Where could we put them? So that was the obvious place to put them.
Fair enough.
But that meant giving up slots for talks and other things.
Yeah.
And even on that theme, we added a lot more live plays this year because we had a lot more live play companies come and speak to us. So that was, again, more about, does the audience want that? Well, based on the feedback that we get, we presume they will. But how do you balance that against anything else? But from a point of view of expansion, it is about the flexibility of the space that we expand into, and how we can utilize that. Because it's got to be, it can't just be more exhibitor space, more open play space. It has to be more space that's flexible for lots of things.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the orange shirts earlier. So they were sort of midway point between the sort of yellow shirt volunteers that were sort of milling around and yourselves as organizers. They had some responsibility as well. How did that change work out for you?
Yeah, I think it was beneficial. I think it does help. It gives, because we gave some of those specific responsibilities in specific areas, and it's that meant that we enabled them to make decisions if needed, and also enabled us then not have to make every decision that was needed.
Yeah, you didn't have to think about everything.
Yeah, and I think we learned a couple things is get the right people in the right place. I mean, this is the first we've done it, and we've already had interest from other people who want to be an orange shirt in specific areas, which is a good thing because the people who want to, if somebody wants to do that thing, then we know that they're going to be keen to do it, so they're likely to do a good job of it. Not that the orange shirts we have just now didn't do a good job. It's just they might not have enjoyed the task, or they may not prefer that task.
For sure, yeah. They might want to change out for next year.
Yeah, and one of the challenges that I think I set, particularly John Laurie and Gemma, was I don't want you stuck in your location the entire convention. I didn't want John Laurie to be stuck in the Bring and Buy the entire con, and I didn't want Gemma stuck at the North Gate the entire con, which was kind of how last year worked. So by giving them a sidekick, it meant that they could walk away and know that it was being looked after. So that was it. I mean, we had quite a few orange shirts who had a lot of different responsibilities, and some who were essentially, we need something done, can you go and do this please, in the case of Lloyd. But yeah, I think that just helped us know that we don't need to be doing everything, because there are only 5 of us.
Yeah. Do you folks get like an actual chance to enjoy any of the con, like as basically as gamers yourselves? Do you actually get to like sit down, play games, like relax a little bit at all, or is it full on all the time?
Well, Simon plays games, don't you, Simon?
I had my yearly game of Dreadball against Dominic Pintera. We have every year we've played a tournament. We have a running game. He won the first series 2-1, and we're now 1-1 in the second series. So next year there's going to be a decider.
Yeah, and you're obviously going to live stream that from the convention, all that jazz. Yeah,
it's a champion decider because he made a trophy last year, and so I have the silver trophy, and he has the gold one. Year before last year at Perth, and then I lost the game annoyingly against Chris Lowry from Beyond Cataclysm, and he was most happy. It's the most joyous I think I've seen him at a convention when he beat me. So
I enjoy beating you though, doesn't he?
He's a good laugh, and he does enjoy it. So next year I've got a target. Obviously I need to beat him.
You do. That's your mission.
Indeed.
I don't play games at conventions, as you know, Ian. So,
it makes me sad inside, David. It really does. It makes me sad.
I do play games, just not at conventions.
Fair enough.
But it is the sort of thing that I just spend most of it chatting to folk, and a combination of business hat and just chatting to folk, if you follow me. Yeah. So there were three companies who had sent people there
to sort of scout out for maybe down the line. Yeah.
Okay. One was an American publisher who was coming over to Scotland already, so he timed his trip to come to the con, and the other 2 are UK publishers, and it was really just the opportunity for them to see the convention, and so they could work out, is this a convention they would want to be at in one capacity or another.
Sure.
So that was really useful and really good to make happen, so that you make sure you have that time. There was also a couple of meetings with people from kind of mind sports type stuff within Scotland.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, sure, yeah. So
I had I had a meeting with one and I had a conversation with another one, and it's really just trying to get that, whilst we are predominantly the sharper end of that hobby, we can't ignore, and by that I mean we can't ignore classic games like bridge or chess or whatever, right?
You just a chess tournament at the convention, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Because we had that tournament on, and there was a couple of different people from the Bridge Association of Scotland there as well, who were along out of curiosity as much as anything else. And they're like, well, how do we get involved in this and stuff like that? So there's things like that we're going to continue to talk about. Whether we do anything with it is obviously open to those discussions, but I think there is an opportunity to recognise that this hobby is more than just being fun, if you follow me. There are learning opportunities for it, there are developmental opportunities as part of it as well, but the convention is largely about the fun aspect.
Sure. The convention's also got a charity partner in Waverley Care, and you've just announced that you raised over £10,000 for that charity. Can you tell me a little bit about them and how you feel about the amount that was raised?
I mean, we're delighted with the amount it was raised. I think we're kind of somewhat surprised in some respects in a positive way. I mean, Waverley Care are Scotland's HIV and hepatitis C charity, and they're very much driving the cause to get us to kind of zero new cases of HIV by, I think it's 2030 in Scotland. And they well, it's very easy to say that they were amazing because they were so engaged in the run up to the convention, and they were amazingly engaged during the convention.
Yeah, I saw them running around. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and I think some of their volunteers that they had there were gamers as well, but they didn't know the convention existed. So that was a nice kind of moment, as it were, of them volunteering to attend a convention in Scotland that they didn't know existed, but it's for their hobby. So we raised, the number currently is £10,757 and 50p, but I do believe there's another £200 to be added to that. So we could be about to exceed £11,000, which would be amazing, you know.
I still have £15 to put in that somebody gave me. I've not done it yet.
You've not done it yet.
I will do it.
But I fully expect it will go
over £11,000.
Brilliant.
And it's the sort of thing that, because we contribute an amount of money towards it, as part of our own charity donation. Some of that is, or lion's share of that is driven through the bring and buy. But one of the things we tend to do is wait until all our bills are paid before we work out if we can top it up even more.
Yeah,
and that's something that should be sorted out this month, that all our bills are paid. So, I mean, ultimately, it's an amazing amount of money, right? I mean, before this year, we'd raised £25,000. So we've almost done half that again, if you follow me. So it's just,
that's fantastic.
Which is just amazing. Somebody was actually asking me on Blusky, does anybody keep a track of all of the charity work that conventions do in the UK? And I was like, well, if anybody does, I'd like to know, because I would genuinely be intrigued to see how much money conventions in the UK raise.
Yeah, I mean, it's every time I see like a charity amount announced from a convention, it's always a fantastic amount. It's always really good.
Yeah, and it is that sort of thing that maybe that's, for what a better phrase, a marketing aspect that not just us, but the hobby needs to be reflecting in the good that we do as it were as a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also have the pleasure of organising an event at my work at the end of October, which they will also be the charity that we're supporting. Because I tend to do that roughly 6 weeks after the convention. I do something at work, so it's just something to top it up with, maybe another £500 or something like that. We'll see. Amazing.
Well, thanks very much for your time, gentlemen. I'll let you go and not keep you too much longer. And we'll be back for next year for the pub quiz, I assume, if you want us back.
Well, we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah, see what your feedback's like.
You've set a standard. Rockstar's coming in and just destroying the place. So
yeah,
it's almost like
the trophies next year will be slightly bigger. We'll just make them slightly bigger every year until we can't fit them in the front door.
I mean, if you do, then Sally's going to want one every year, then, right? Because she was very, very proud of her trophy, the her and Kiara in that one. So she's definitely going to want one next year. It's nice to have good friends with 3D printers. It is, isn't it? Very helpful.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, gents. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
See you, man. Bye.
Thanks very much to David and Simon for joining me and answering some questions and having a chat about how you felt the con went. We're looking forward to returning next year to run the pub quiz once more and see how the con changes. They've certainly got some plans for some improvements, some little bits of changes, but essentially it'll still be the same welcoming place that we've really enjoyed attending for the last few years.
Hang on a second. Are we sure they're going to let us back again?
I mean, it wasn't entirely clear in the interview, to be fair, but yeah. Probably.
Cool. We're just going to.
90%.
Up you.
I'm sorry. We'll still be there, but maybe not in the official. I'm just putting that out there in case they go, we don't want you. I'm sure they would. I'm not
wanna
just
give
saying
them
that
the
because they
option.
gave free
Yeah.
tickets.
So, Simon described us as rock stars.
Is that a good thing?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Did you smash the place or something?
No.
Only
I mean,
one
maybe next-
table and one chair and one window and
On TV?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you threw the TV out through the window at the end of the podcast. That seemed unnecessary.
You were on the ground floor as well. So
I was in the moment. It was a rock and roll moment, apparently. No, legitimately had a really good time.
Yeah, huge thank you to everyone that made the event brilliant,
Oh, yeah.
especially the team of friends that helped Jamie and I to run the pub quiz. Thank you very much for everyone that helped us out doing that.
Also,
It's
all the
always much
exhibitors who were
easier.
there. All the exhibitors who were there. All the people who showed up that, like, you know, we said hello to. It was a really good time. I mean, I played in a Gwent tournament. I've not played in a tournament for a very long time. I was terrible. I came third out of 4 people, which was fine.
Ian Chandler won.
Ian Chat, yeah.
did not see not a post about that.
Yes, he did because I bought a copy of Gwent. I have opinions, and we were playing it. And then one of the guys who was organising a Gwent tournament on the Friday night came over and said, "Do you guys want to play?" And we said no. And then we realised there was only like 2 other people in the tournament, so we said, "Okay, we'll play."
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was
Ian
being
had-
organised by Ancient Robot Games. Who's
It
one of the
had,
local
yes.
shops.
It was great. Thank you to Morgan for running it. And Ian and I showed up, and Ian went, I don't know about this, and then just went through and won.
That's
Yeah.
the best way. Pretend you don't know anything about the game and then win.
Exactly.
That really rubs it in.
I was on
It's one of those games that if you're a seasoned CCG player or something like that, it feels like it's one of those games you manipulate quite hard. You sort of like tune into it quite quickly.
Well, you know me, I'm not a CG hugely. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Behind me, as these two can see, I do have games that do include card games, but the C or the L, no.
Anyway, let's move on to a couple of updates.
As we reported previously, Diamond Distribution, one of the largest distribution companies for comics and RPGs in North America, ran into financial difficulties earlier in the year and was declared bankrupt. Since then, the company's been in the news a few more times, and today is no exception. In a court order released on the 25th of August, the procedure concerning Diamond Distribution's attempt to seize and sell inventory held under contract with various publishers was clarified. It explains that Diamond Distribution is required to initiate a so-called adversary proceeding against each publisher whose inventory it seeks to claim before it... Oh, sorry. Let me do that again. It explains that Diamond Distribution is required to initiate a so-called adversary proceeding against each publisher whose inventory it seeks to claim before it may seize or sell that inventory. An adversary proceeding, specific type of action in a bankruptcy court that allows the court to determine whether particular debts should remain enforceable despite the bankruptcy filing of the debtor. As a result, Diamond Distribution has filed adversary proceedings against 31 companies, including Titan Comics, Paizo, Oni Press, Goodman Games, Fantagraphics Books, Dynamic Forces, parent of Dynamite Entertainment, Distillery, Dark Horse Comics, and Boom Entertainment. The court order also makes provisions for potential settlements between Diamond Distribution and the publishers. So the hearing is scheduled for the 30th of September and will consider motions by publishers asking that Diamond Distribution either assume or reject the consignment agreements effective at the time of its bankruptcy filing. If rejected, publishers can terminate their contracts and reclaim their inventory, as well as request to be paid any outstanding amounts due. Paizo CEO Jim Butler said the following in an interview with Rascal.
It's all kinds of ridiculous, since it's clear Diamond never paid for the books to be printed, never paid artists, editors, game designers, graphic designers, and others for the work they did to create the book. Signed contracts with us acknowledging that they don't own the stock and that they were selling the book on consignment and never paid taxes on the books sitting in their warehouse.
Paizo is the publisher of Pathfinder and Starfinder. He went on to call the proceeding the end of the beginning rather than the beginning of the end. To date, bankruptcy-related fees have cost Diamond approximately $13.75 million. Unsurprisingly, publishers whose inventory is at stake are concerned not only about the size of the legal fees, but also the value of the inventory involved.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been trying to pull a fast one, basically, and a bunch of the publishers are like, nope. How about no?
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know what needs to be said from this apart from, wow, this is sketchy.
Yeah, it's getting incredibly legally tangly, and yeah, this is going to go on for a while. And like, if at some point Diamond just collapses and loses the warehouses, a bunch of stock's going to get pulped, because I've heard of that happening in the past to people I know, where like basically warehouses go under, and it's just like into the shredder. That's what happens.
I'll be honest, I was going to say shiftier than sketchier than a shifty courtroom artist. The moment has passed.
But it is, as you say, it's very entangled. There's suing, counter-suing happening. And then the last thing about it's setting precedents. It's like, hang on, you had this situation before? Surely there must be some sort of precedent. So this is obviously the first time that a, distributor basically went under. Yeah.
Consignment side is the precedent rather than the warehousing bit. Like on consignment, so they haven't technically sold it yet or really bought it yet either. So it's kind of in weird stock limbo where it's neither or. Yeah, who knows?
Very interesting.
Let's move on to the news. And Oliver, you got something about the Dutch Board Game Prize.
I do. On Wednesday, the 3rd of September, the nominations for the Dutch Games Prize were announced. This is the 25th anniversary of the award, and any game released in Dutch between the 1st of July 2023 and the 30th of June 2024 are valid for nomination. There are 3 categories: family, connoisseurs, and experts. Family games are for large audience. Connoisseur games are for those aged 10 or older that want a game of an hour and a half or so with more rules, where the game can be explained in 50 minutes. Finally, expert games are those for people with more playing experience and that feel similar to the Kennerspiel des Jahres. In the family genre is the Spiel des Jahres winning Bombbusters, as well as Far Away and Pixies. In connoisseurs, we have Botanicus, Comet, the Comet, and Pirates of Maracaibo. Finally, in the experts category, we have Men Neferenic, SETI, and Windmill Valley. Men Neferenic is the only one in this category we haven't heard of. It is from publisher Ludonova, and is about developing the culture of Egypt. The awards are going to be announced on the 11th of October. Now, I think a lot of titles we know about. There's Spiel des Jahres winners being nominated as well. But the usual question is, which of these games have any of us played?
Hold on, let me just...
Hey, okay. I've played Pixies.
Well, I've played Botanicus on BGA, so I haven't played the physical copy of it. I played on BGA, and it was fine.
BGA being Board Game Arena.
Yeah. It's a point salary thing where you're a gardener, like planting little plants about, and like you can like sort of line them up for bonuses and things. Yeah.
Well, I got to say I'm disappointed in you both because I, in keeping with this fine tradition of the podcast, have not played any of them.
Yeah.
But I kind of am tickled by the fact that I know it's not a direct translation, but the connoisseurs being those age 10 plus that want a game of an hour and a half or so with more rules.
Like, can we explain in 15 minutes? I think that's the interesting part of that one. Like, they specifically want something that's interesting to play but not complicated to explain. That's quite a trick. That's quite an interesting one.
That's quite a trick, and I just love that. It's like, right, how old are you? Oh, I'm now 11. Okay, you're 10 plus. What kind of games do you like? Oh, games. How about 80 to 100 minutes? Right, brilliant. How about rules explanation? Oh, it's got to be like less than 20 minutes.
Otherwise, I won't pay attention.
How do you feel about 15? I can take 15. Do we have games for you?
Yeah. Well, I guess just to clarify, this obviously has been translated from Dutch.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sorry. Yes, I am being.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're being absolutely.
There's always being said it's the expert game, and it's not an expert game in the sense that we understand.
I'm indulging in a classic British tradition of making fun of other countries for me or the badly translation that we have done. And it is I am not making fun of them. I'm making fun of the bad translation. I want to get that clear. I have respect for the Netherlands and its people. Yes.
Anyway, moving on to a gender split, Ian.
Elizabeth Hargrave, designer of Wingspan, Mariposas, and many other popular titles, has released their annual update looking at the gender split in designers of the top 500 games on Board Game Geek. Date was taken on the 1st of January 2025. Now, the split was 92% weighted towards men, 6% designed by a mixed gender group, and only 1% designed by women or non-binary people. The remaining 1% is accounted for by games with no named designer within the top 500. Elizabeth says that although the change is small, for those craving representation, it is noticeable. The number of games designed only by women or non-binary people has quintupled in the last 10 years. Elizabeth does admit that that is easy because the baseline was one game in the top 500 previously. Addressing why people should care, Elizabeth says this.
When things are this far off parity, it feels like a sign that something is weird. You're probably not getting the best games you could be getting if design were being undertaken and published by a broader spectrum of people. I think most of the situation is rooted in inertia, not malice. But we could all be doing more to encourage everyone to game and to design if they're inclined and to pitch designs. Designers and publishers especially can help speed up change by mentoring and supporting new designers.
Elizabeth also shares a list of games designed by women and people of marginalized genders that we will share in the show notes. That will be a Board Game Geek list.
I will say, Ian, first of all, I believe, as per the rules of this podcast, you're contractually obligated to preface any mention of Wingspan with the words cultural juggernaut. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
I think it's good that Elizabeth keeps at this completely because she's right. Like, if a more diverse, more interesting group of designers and publishers is better for games in general, it's better for any art form in general. More voices, more perspectives. This is a good thing. Always.
110%.
Yeah. And if we can encourage, mentor people to do that, that's great. If we can, in some small way, lift up people ourselves through myself and Oliver's reviews, we will do so because we love to hear new and interesting voices. I'm trying to get into RPGs more recently, and there's loads of weird, interesting games written by a fantastic array of people out there that I'm hoping to bring to your attention.
Oh, Ian, if you want to get into RPGs, I've heard of this game. It's called Dungeons and Dragons.
Nah.
It might be up your street.
Nah, I mean, they just keep re-releasing it. The same thing over. I'm gonna get complaints.
It's fine. And if you have complaints, please address them to Ian McAllister. If you have any problems with what I'm saying, please address them to Ian McAllister.
Yeah, absolutely. I will see all the emails. Jamie won't. But yeah, no, it is like it is getting a little better, but it's not very much better. So yeah, it'd be good to see it get
small incremental change. Let's continue this. Let's put the pressure on.
Indeed.
And just to add to what Ian said, I've been trying to focus on non-English, whether American, British, or whatever, publishers as well. I've recently reviewed a game by an Indian publisher. So there are lots of games out there that are actually available in the UK and US as well. So yeah, it is possible. Also, one more note. I think what makes finding this data or examining the data hard is that there is no place on BGG to record the gender.
No, yes.
So I think Elizabeth Hargrave had to sort of manually go through and I think she even went as far as identifying literally, not just by the name, but actually finding out what that person identifies as to make sure they're categorized correctly. And hence, I think it's only the top 500 games she's focusing on. It would obviously be really useful to get a much bigger, spectrum of games.
Because shock horror, representation matters.
Indeed. And talking about representation, let's move on to an award we've come to like.
Yes. The Bobby Nunes Memorial Award is given at SD HistCon, the San Diego Historical Games Convention. It commemorates the work of Bobby Nunes, who did much to advance the knowledge and appreciation of historical games, supporting the convention and the many designers and players that passed through its doors. The award recognises exceptional media coverage of the historical games genre. This year, the nominees are Amabel Holland and their video essay entitled Vonnegut's Board Game, Preservation, Annotation, Context. Homo Ludens and their video Unpacking the Clean Wehrmacht's Legacy in Wargames, Wargame Ethics. Charlie Thiel and his piece Philosophy in Board Games, The Categorical Imperative. Dan Thuro's podcast and its 42nd episode that interviewed the designer Francisco Gradiale and his game Onoda. Mark Herman's book, According to Mark, a historian's view of wargame design. Roger B. McGowan and the book The Art of Roger B. McGowan. Roger passed away in February, but his art was well known across the historical games section. And Maurice Suckling and their book Paper Time Machines, Critical Game Design and Historical Board Games. The winner will be announced on the 8th of November at the Summit Convention in San Diego. The winner will be announced on the 8th of November in San Diego. Congratulations to all the nominees.
A lot of interesting nominees in there. Fingers crossed for the writers, because, I am one.
Yeah.
You write? No one told me.
Yeah, Bill Holland does great videos. I've been watching more of their work recently. Some fantastic stuff in there. Yeah,
and you know what? Historical games. It's not all war games. It's not all World War II, Vietnam, and Napoleon. There's other things.
No, indeed. The Zenobia Wars.
It's amazing.
The Zenobia Wars that we've covered a couple of times. It sort of highlights the sort of depth and complexity and sort of variety that you can get within historical games. They're not all hex and counter war games. Yeah.
And they're not all war games. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We've fallen here. You've heard us. You've heard us here. We've gone historical games.
Yeah, it's easy to think of it that way, for sure. And it's just not the truth of the matter.
But yeah, congratulations to all the nominees, just to repeat that. Lots
Absolutely.
of great names in there.
Absolutely. And speaking of great names, it's on to another great name, Oliver, for tabletop jobs, events, stuff going on,
And
opportunities, that's the
thank
word.
you. Yes, for great opportunities.
I clicked the wrong button.
If you haven't been nominated for the award above, you can still look for jobs at the in the Tabletop Jobs Facebook groups, as they always talk about. There's various things in there at the moment. Do have a look. It keeps being updated regularly, so it's definitely worthwhile having a look there.
Yeah, I saw Cephalofair Games looking for a card graphic designer today, for instance.
Yeah, lots of interesting stuff worldwide as well. It's not just necessarily US or UK, so do have a look. I also like to talk about the Tabletop Games blog Raffle, which is Tabletop Games blog, obviously, is me running that. So I run I'm trying to make it a monthly raffle, but didn't do it last month, but it's back again. So we have a raffle in aid of the Trust, a charity that runs UK food banks. Tickets are £1, and all proceeds, obviously minus any fees and things, go directly to the charity. The prizes for the September raffle are review copies of Mars Expedition Sol 43, Isle of Night, and Fled, plus a used copy of Synchronized. So all games have been played, but they're in very good condition. I've made sure of that. So take part, donate a £1, or pay £1 for a raffle ticket, and there's packages available as well if you buy multiple. Now, speak of paying, Ian, who's paying us?
Our lovely patrons, thank you so much for continuing to support the cast, especially Kim Bertram from Four Circle Games, James Naylor from Naylor Games, and Shaun Newman from the Game-A-Lot team, who support us at the executive level. You can join them for just $1 a month, where you get access to some behind-the-scenes notes, a new newsletter, which I'm hoping to launch in the next month as well. It'll also combine some of the bits and pieces we've been doing. And just it helps us keep the lights on and keep the website running. There are various other ways to support us on the site as well. Links to all of which will be in the show notes.
Newsletter?
But indeed, that's the plan. And anyway, speaking of money.
Despite its origins in the Landlord's Game, a game that despised the capitalist system, Monopoly is a cultural juggernaut that revels in avarice, greed, and of course, bundles of cash. To represent the 90th anniversary of this game, the Royal Mint in the UK, the institution that makes all pound sterling, is releasing a celebratory coin. This is a colourful 50p coin that has icons from the family game and will retail for between £15 and £25. If you're Mr. Moneybags, though, you can get yourself a gold version for the low price of £1,730, which I've got to say is a bit of a shame because they could have done £1,500, because that is how much you start off with in a game of Monopoly.
Ah, they missed it.
I know. Rebecca Morgan, Director of Commemorative Coins at the Royal Mint, said this.
For nearly 90 years, families have been trading millions in Monopoly currency around kitchen tables, and now we're celebrating that beloved tradition with collectible coin.
Neil Scallon, a man we've reported on before, as he has the world's largest Monopoly collection, said,
It's like finding a get-out-of-jail-free card that celebrates the game we all grew up loving. This represents the holy grail for any serious Monopoly enthusiast. There's a lot of people in this article saying people love Monopoly. But do they?
Yeah. They do.
Do they love Monopoly?
Those people do. Those people definitely do.
They play Monopoly or are forced to.
There is I think, again, as I will keep reiterating this, I know we joke about it. Three of us, I think it's safe to say, are not fans of Monopoly. But there are people who are. Brilliant.
For sure.
Wonderful. But bearing in mind, there are also other games, and not all games need to end in a massive fist fight.
That's true.
They can end in small fist fights.
whether you like Monopoly or not, are you going to get the 50p coin and pay £15 or £25 for it? When it's actually, the face value is 50p. Remember, this is 50p. Face value 50p.
I mean, those things will, I guess those things will actually be collector's items down the line because there will only be a certain number made. I don't know how many they're making, but there will only be a limited number.
They will appreciate.
It's quite a nice looking thing if you're into Monopoly.
They will definitely appreciate in value. And it's actually, like, as you said, it's colourful. There's actually colours on it. It's not just a kind of burnished silvery look.
I'm tempted to get one, to be honest, actually.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Cool. Get one.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for listening. If you like what you listen to, then the best way to help us out is to share the podcast and drop us a review and rating on your podcast host of choice. You can also follow us you can follow Oliver at tabletopgamesblog.com. You can come and join us in our Discord, and there'll be an invite in the show notes. We're all on Blusky. I'm thegiantbrain.co.uk. Oliver is tabletopgamesblog.com, and Jamie is Jam Sandwich. Our Instagram is kind of back in operation, so we are on there as Giant Brain UK. You can follow us on Facebook at The Giant Brain. Our website is giantbrain.co.uk, and you can email us about anything in the show at giantbrainuk@gmail.com. If you'd like us to cover a story and keep your anonymity will be guaranteed by us. We'll see you in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.